Alright, shalom, shalom. Shalom, first and foremost, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Kodash. Let me just start it. Shalom, first and foremost, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Kodash. The double Christian apostles and elders of GMS Stone who teach and rule well, continue to teach and rule well through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai. Peace, love, and salutations to the Akim in the four corners of this earth, pushing this word with all truth and sincerity. To speckled brother Akim and Akwad out there tuned in, listening and learning with hopes of being delivered by Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, from these perilous times that we are in. Shalom. This is Nal from the Kingston, Jamaica camp. And hey, let's get into this one. So I titled this one Esau is seeking an alternative end. And in this video that I put up by GMS GetThisWork, you can see where Esau tasked, different, Edomites to try to see if there can be a different end toward what's coming, because they know the end of, this world, how the end of this world will be. According to Second Esdras, which talks about Esau being the end of the world and Jacob being the beginning of it that follow it. Let me see if I can read it. I won't pull it up on the screen, but I'll just read it from the Apocrypha that I have before me. This is 2 Esdras chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question Esdras asked thou not. So Esau knows this prophecy. Esau know that we are the Israelites, you so-called niggers, Latinos, and Native Americans are the true biblical Israelites, and he knows that the God of the Israelites, which is Yahweh, and his only begotten son Yahushai, is about to return and remove him out of power. And that's the reason why he has his watchmen, set up to measure the time. And as you can see in this video right here, he goes into it, and he's basically saying that, there's no alternative end for us. There's no alternative end for this system but the one that is prophesied to come within the scriptures. And that's the reason why the brother has this title right here. News flash: the game is rigged. Yashar Allah wins. And we will win in the end. We got next. This is the saints of the heavenly Father shall take the kingdom, Daniel 7, right? This is Isaiah chapter 21 verse 11. The burden of Duma, he calleth to me out of Seir, right? Mount Seir, which is, the habitation of Esau, Edom, the so-called white Caucasian race. It says, watchman, what of the night? So they're asking their watchman, what of the night? The night represents their destruction, their doom, their downfall. Watchman, what of the night? So they're asking their watchman, what of the night? What of the end of our rule, How is it looking, How close are we? The watchman said, the morning cometh, which the morning represents, the salvation of the Israelites, right? The uprising of the nation of Israel. It says, and also the night, if ye will inquire ye, return, come, right? And I'll just read these scriptures and I'll play the video and we'll end there. This is Psalms chapter 49, verse 11. Their inward thought is, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name. So Esau is seeking immortality. Esau, to some extent, believe that they can override prophecy and continue, along with their agenda and accomplish their enterprise and even further their enterprise as well. But this is Job chapter 5, verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So they will only go so far, because as scripture says, when he's about to fill his belly, meaning that what he is eating, he will be getting things done, but he will not accomplish his enterprise to the T. This is Job chapter 14, verse 5. Seeing that his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. You know, and clearly in this video, you will see this Edomite, talks about it. There's no alternative end for you Edomite, so you can seek it to the ends of the earth, you'll not find it. There's only one end, and that's your downfall, and the nation of Israel rising up, and you being brought into slavery, where you will serve your 1,000 years of servitude, hard, rigorous, servitude, and then perish away like a dream. So let me read this. No, let's play this video.
Biggest cherry on top of this conversation would be a synopsis to say that I can convince everybody out there that, for all intents and purposes, what we believe to be true eventually becomes true. If somebody convinces us that a major disaster is going to happen in the very near future, a major disaster happens in the very near future. If we don't buy into that fear and accept that there's really nothing that we know is going to happen, and accept of whatever happens.
There has been an awakening. Have you felt it?
The biggest cherry on top of all this conversation would be a synopsis to say that if I could convince everybody out there that for all intents and purposes, what we believe to be true eventually becomes true. If somebody convinces us that a major disaster is going to happen in the very near future, a major disaster happens in the very near future. If we don't buy into that fear and accept that there's really nothing that we know is going to happen, and accept of whatever happens, that makes the convergence of the timelines happen as naturally as possible. Any attempts to try to go away from this one inevitable conclusion, I again see as a new beginning, an end of this reality, the beginning of something that we can't even possibly understand based on the level of our beliefs currently. But when all that information comes flooding out, there's going to be no denying what's true and what's a lie or what's illusion. We won't have the choice to believe that 9/11 happened because of a bunch of terrorists, because we'll know exactly what's happened. Basically, what we're experiencing right now is two master chess players sitting at the board. And one of them looks down at the board and sees that he's in checkmate in 7 moves. And he looks across at his opponent and he knows that his opponent sees it too. So there's no getting out of it. So at this point, the loser can only prolong the game. The game, both players know the game is over. It's only a matter of time before he does this, and then you're forced to do this, and then he's forced to do this, and eventually checkmate. We, as a race, if we could understand that the game is over, that based on the rules of the game, the bad guys have already lost, the good guys have already won. Yes, there's moves left on the table, but those moves are being forced by the player that is going to win. The only way that checkmate can't happen is if the player that's winning makes a mistake. But from all of the information that I've gathered, all of the information that's been given, all of the information that's been vetted to me, it seems pretty obvious that the good guy player on the side of the chessboard knows exactly what has to be done to win the game. And so at this point, any mistake would be all but impossible. But again, you really have to understand the game to know that the guy that's losing is lost. And I'm sure most people sitting watching a chess match between two advanced chess players know the game's over long after the two players know it's over, because they can't see the board and see that there's only 7 moves left.
Okay, but when we come to this convergence, and again, you've seen, or the looking glass has seen up to that point.
Now, let me say why I believe that it comes down to one inevitability is because I was entrusted in getting it down to 2 possibilities. And I've heard both of those possibilities talked about in massive proportions, the good and the bad.
Okay, do you want to talk, so can you in one sentence say what the good was and the bad was, or are you able to do that?
To most easily put it to people,
I suppose.
one scenario is what most people would understand to be ascension, or an evolution of consciousness that brings us out of the cocoon and turns us into a butterfly. Timeline 2 is some kind of major global catastrophe that drives most of us underground and leaves a few of us on top to fend for ourselves.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? We're some real pretty shit now, man.
You finished?
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back